think it's working. Let's get my desktop set up. Look on multi-stream chat. Good. Let's check that I can see it coming through. Okay, looks to be working on Twitch. Okay, looks to be working on Twitch. Audio's coming through. Let's mute that then. Great, we've got 2 lives coming onto YouTube now, which is good. We've got the vertical and the horizontal. All seems to be working, so let's get ourselves all set up. Great. This tab will minimize. Get a new window. We'll open up our mirror board, and then we'll go through the plan for today. Okay. Oh, it's still untitled. Game ideas new. Switch over to this. Great. Yeah, this seems to be working. So, yesterday, we got ourselves into this situation. We have this game idea, Life of Morrow Hicks, that I came up with, that we came up with as a team. And I don't hate it. I'm honest. Did I have a dream? I didn't have a dream per se, but I did have a thought that we should spend another day looking at some other ideas. Because I like this idea. I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy with this idea. I think it's cool. I think the core mechanic's interesting. I think that it has a chance to be a really, you can't say really unique, because an interesting experience that could garner some attraction to a player who, if the art isn't amazing and the programming isn't perfect, the concept of the game is still interesting, right? And so that means that someone like me who is starting out on solo dev has a chance to show something interesting and have someone connect to that and be, oh, that's cool. But I want to give myself, like you say, allowing myself some options in case something else comes up that's even better, or if I create something that is more fitting for the plan that I initially came up with. Because what I've realised last night when I was lying in bed dreaming about games is that these 2 points, which were the basis of what I wanted my first game to be, really, aren't really being hit well by this game idea. You know, it's not a very short gameplay loop. It's quite a big gameplay loop. I mean, it depends. It is a short gameplay loop because the gameplay loop is interact with something, make a choice, see result. It is a quite short gameplay loop, and it's semi-hooky in the fact that, there's an open-ended game that's micro that you can explore. That's kind of cool, but is it hooky enough? I don't know. So I think I want to focus on a few ideas that hit this point. I think I want to try and generate an interesting shooter and an interesting fighting or some other kind of combat game that give me some options when I come to look at stuff later on. So what we're going to do is going to leave all this today. This today, we're not looking at. Maybe we'll look at it later once I decide whether I can make a different game or not. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new little area, which is going to be called the shooter. Hello, Boroboy. The shooter and the other one. These are very interesting titles for games, right? So, what do I like about shooter games? Hello, Spider on TT. what do I like about shooter games? My favorite shooter game ever is Counter-Strike. Now, is Counter-Strike a reasonable place for me to start? No, because it's got massively multiplayer features which require a lot of skills and things I don't have, and so the dev timeline that I'm looking for isn't reasonable. A dream of mine personally is to move into multiplayer in the future, but is that really feasible for me right now? Probably not. So, what we're going to do is we are going to think about what aspects of a shooter could there be that could be a little bit hooky. You can watch. You want Beat Saber with guns? I mean, that was one of the original ideas yesterday, right? Rhythm shooter. I actually got a prototype for a rhythm shooter that I made maybe 2 years ago, which I do like. So we can put that one up on the board. The shooter, Osu, but in 3D. That's basically the concept. There is Osu in the case that you have to put your mouse in specific locations and click a thing to a beat, but in 3D around you. Right? That's the concept of a rhythm shooter in my mind. Osu but 3D. That's one idea. I also think there's an idea for movement heavy shooter, or let's change that, like shooter but sci-fi movement or something. I think that's definitely a space that could be done to make it like a game that feels really good to play, you can experience quite quickly, and has a lot of, I don't know, base mechanics that are easy to like get my teeth into and sink my teeth into. Because I think the problem with some ideas, especially with the one we came up with yesterday, is that you have this issue, right, where a game might seem like a really cool idea and really fun, but when you break it down into individual parts, it's actually quite hard to make. Like this idea we came up with yesterday is a lot of data management, which is hard. I really want to give you a good gooby whilst you're playing. What are you on about? Oh, people are weird. Shooter but sci-fi movement. So like, I mean, the classic example of this when I briefly taught at university is people would often do like standard game but gravity switches, right? Is like the classic one where like, oh, I'm a platformer but you can switch gravity up or down. Oh, it's a isometric game but sometimes you can switch it upside down. Hey James, I'm very good. Excited by the prospect of making games. So that is sci-fi movementy, but I don't know if it's exciting to me. Oh, I keep on back to Osu but in 3D. We'll leave this one for the moment to see if there is something there. Because like, whilst I'm on a short timeline and I'm not a musician, I can easily contract someone to make me 3 tracks of a style I like, because it's a small scale game. I don't mind if you experience the game completely in 30 minutes. And I think if you have a few decent tracks, you can listen to a few decent tracks of 30 minutes. Yeah, so shooter but sci-fi movement or something. What's something else movementy we can do? Let's focus on this one for a moment. Shooter but sci-fi movement or something. What if... Because that's like the idea of like a flow state, right? I think flow state. I think that's a thing that I'm focusing on here. I don't want to go towards like realism slash tactical shooter. Tactical shooter. This is a no-go zone for me for this game, because getting it right is too hard, and when you do get it right, there's a lot of like other systems that need to be there to make you get invested in getting it right. You know, like the reason that Tarkov is fun isn't because it's difficult to reload your gun and find ammo and stuff. It's because you do that under intense tension. building tension is how tactical shooters work. That's their bread and butter. But I don't think that's something that it's easy to do in a very short amount of time, or easy to do without very careful design, which is not really what I'm going for right now. I'm going for a quick project that can be enjoyed quickly. So I'm more towards this. If you imagine that like there's a scale of like realism shooter to flow state shooter, there's a scale there. You know, then I want to be on this end of it, not this end of it. If it's like Tarkov to what was that rhythm shooting game I saw? Let me just search it up real quick. Let's get Steam store open and see if I can find it, because I remember Hellslinger. It was like Doom, but Beat Saber. Music. What do I call it? Rhythm shooter metal music. Yeah, Hellsinger. $5. Hello. Yeah, this is the one. This is the game. Hopefully it can hit. I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. I could install it, and I'll play this if I do make one. But this is very much the Horde style, and it makes you feel good by just clicking on the beat. I think I want to go down the route of precision though. Like, I'd say that this is like full other end of just like flow state. Like Hellsing is here. I want to be more like here. Like if this is Tarkov, CS is here, Hellsing is here. I want to be in the middle, you know, where it's a little bit more strategic shooting and thinking about enemy positions and all that sort of thing. But it's still a rhythm shooter. It's still about the rhythm and the beat. So anyway, tactical shooter off. Flow state, super in 3D. Oh, I can see that. I can see that. But is there other ways to get the flow state? There sure is. Like, if we think about flow state in first-person games, one of the best ones is Mirror's Edge, right? Like, Mirror's Edge but shooter. That's what the what was that mecha shooter game? I never played it, but anyway, the one where you're like you're sliding around on walls, then you become a mecha suit, and then you're fighting the mechas, and then the little people run around and try and shoot you or whatever. Yeah, that's definitely a game that exists. But I don't know if that's the direction I want to go. I think probably not. I think hardcore movement is not what I want. I mean, is there a fun game in just being what's the character in Apex? Apex Legends. Who's the robot with the slingshot? Apex Legends Pathfinder? Yeah, just this guy. Spider-Man but shooter is kind of like that idea, right? Where you're swinging around and you're just shooting stuff. Is that fun? Maybe. And it's physics-based. You can make it feel good. I think there's something fun there. I don't know if it's terribly unique or super different to anything someone else has made, but I think that there's definitely something there. So if we did like go grapple movement plus shooter Pathfinder spin-off. Like if Apex Legends made a single player Pathfinder spin-off game, what would it look like? That's the kind of mechanical vibe I'm looking at there. But is that stronger than this? Probably not. Is there a different way that we can achieve flow state or movements flow state, or what other options do we have in there to make an interesting game that can be engaged with very quickly? It's not about mastery, really, because that's the problem with going towards like the Osu type thing, is that that is more about mastery than it is quick fun. Like, sure, Osu's quick fun to load up and play for a little bit, but it's only once you've got a level of mastery. But maybe that's okay. Maybe you just never get to that stage, and you just have the quick fun stage. Okay, so how would we make Osu in 3D? I keep talking about it, so let's just expand that design a little bit. I think the things that I don't like about other rhythm shooters that I want to change is the most. Let's do it in text. Let's do it in text. Most rhythm shooters are horde enemy style. I want something that feels more like an aim trainer or some kind of precision shooting reward that still feels good to play. I don't want it to feel like, you know, you're fighting the fuck. I don't want it to be an aim trainer, you know. But you know that flow state in Counter-Strike when you're doing your warm-up and you're just like spinning around headshotting bots? It's almost more towards that than it is like a traditional rhythm shooter. What if there was something... What if, like... I like the idea of, like... There needs to be some player choice, right? So... Player choice and tactical decision making around what you shoot when should be interesting. Why is this not a bullet point? This one is. I don't know. No idea. How you could do that is with the concept of like maybe like a critical point thing. Like imagine you're in like a imagine all the people. You're here. Let's not do red. Let's make him a little blue man. You're the player. You're standing here with your gun. And around you are enemies that are like something. And there's one up here, and there's one over here. Maybe they're like different types of enemies that have different kinds of things or something. And they're not like a one-shot kill. because the horde style of rhythm shooter is like you stand here and lots of stuff comes at you and you move around the environment and you pew kill, pew kill, pew kill. It's more doomy. I don't know why I spent so much of yesterday talking about Doom and now I'm talking about Doom again. Maybe I should just play Doom. Maybe it's on my brain. But if we made them out of different parts, like imagine you're in like a robot warehouse and it's building like weird robots to come fight you. And we could make them flying drones, match the modern style of warfare. And drones also mean that they don't have to walk, so that's good. So you have these robots that fly to that are made of different parts. And each part becomes critical on a different beat. So you have like offbeat parts and main beat parts. So it's like critical. If you're like a doom ch doom ch doom ch doom ch, you have like a two bar piece of music, and it has main beat, offbeat, and then so on main beat the big parts are critical, and the offbeat, this one's critical, like the small parts. Or maybe like you have like a body part and then like connection parts and then body part and then connection parts and body part. You have a robot like this and each one is maybe like has a different functions. Like one of them shoots at you, one of them makes it fly. So you can like shoot, 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 shoot. Boom, ch, boom, ch. But then if I did that, that'd be bad. So I want to be like boom, ch, boom, ch, boom, ch, boom, 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 ch. Like you have like a beat that means that like you need to aim at different parts of the robot. And you could make a bit of gameplay around teaching that and having some interesting different kinds of enemies that come and kill you. And then at the end of the game, there's a big fucking mecha boss that has that concept on a much bigger scale, Some cool big robot with a fucking massive cannon on its fucking head or something. I don't know. It then shoots at you and you have to like boom, and it like falls down. I think this is kind of cool. An interesting take on a really like where rather than you just shoot the enemies on the beat, you have to like they are bigger enemies and you have to shoot different parts either on different beats like boom sh, or it's like you have like a main beat. Like if we go back to this thing, let's say we have, let's like demonstrate with the music. If we have like a boom ch, boom ch, boom ch, boom ch, 2 bars of that, and then it changes every few bars to a different thing, and it goes like boom boom ch, boom 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 ch, boom boom ch. Like different beats could represent different sections of the enemies you have to destroy. Does that make sense? It's like this part, you shoot that one, and then on this, let's say we like erase this and then redraw it in that color. So you have the like green parts and the blue parts, and that represents 2 different beats that you have to like switch between and shoot different parts. I think that there's scope for something like that to be kind of cool. Just to be more tactical and more precise. I guess it's not, maybe it's not tactical per se. And we could represent that in, like, I'm already thinking like, oh, but how would you tell the player that without having a long fucking tutorial with like a guy that comes in who says, don't forget on the green beat to shoot the green things. I think it should be more about like it should be teaching you through, like you could have the robots with like vents on their pieces, and so like the vents light up red when they're like exposed, and then those vents close and these vents open up, so it shows that that was exposed, and it just switches between those things over time. I could see that being cool. I could see that being very cool. Oh, I'm back to rhythm shooter. It's really a question of like, I guess in terms of the mechanical breadth, there's less like level design requirements or anything too crazy, but there's more in terms of base mechanics, like getting shooting to feel good, getting the rhythm system to work well. And then also design these robots to be fun to kill. I don't think it's a game that you could play with epilepsy, because I think all these different things are like flash, like green, blue, green, red, green. Yeah. But ludically, as a player, if you're doing this, do you need to know what's coming up, or is it just the music? Boom, boom. I guess it depends on how consistent you need the beat to be to make that feel engaging and fun. Like, is it more engaging and fun to have sections, like section A and section B, or is it more engaging to do like beat off beat, and then when you do like a boom boom boom, maybe that's like a useful point where you like hit hit hit. Wow, that's really useful, because you can aim at one thing and shoot 3 times, and knowing that's coming is probably a skill expression. That's probably an expression of fun, right? Being able to show off some skill. Because when I initially made a prototype for this game ages ago, I had like literally like specific points on the enemies that would appear that you have to shoot, and you bang, 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 like to make it feel very much like Osu but in 3D. But I found the whole system quite I don't know, quite contrived, and it kind of filled your screen with UI markers to shoot rather than the enemies being cool things to shoot. So I think I'd rather not do that. The only other element to this whole thing that I'm concerned by is enemy design. Enemy design is something that will be very key here, and that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. But I wanted to explore combat, so maybe it's a smart choice to do something that has something like that. And we can move the other one over here somewhere. So the shooter is just coming back to the rhythm shooter. And whilst there's a bit more base ludic things that need to be designed and built, I don't know if it's worse. Let's look back at my original design documents in case there's anything in there that I'm a very funky apocalypse is what it's called. Let's have a little look through this. Yeah, it was way too big. It had like lore and things about the world and all these, like, yeah, sliding and crouching and all this stuff. But I think that I don't think you want that. I think you just want simple walking about. Maybe you can do a sprint where you can't shoot while you're sprinting or something, just so you can get away from them. We're not gonna have personalization through guns or music. It's gonna be one style of music, one style of gun. It's a game that is gonna be cheap and you're not gonna play for very long. It should just be fun to play it, and like maybe we just try and include at least 2 modes. We have the story mode where you go through this space and you open some doors, go into rooms, defeat enemies, open the next door, and eventually end up with the boss. And then there's like an endless mode where you're in like a space that has some interesting movement things, and then just hordes of enemies come at you until you eventually die or something. Because if someone really does like it, then I want to give them space to at least enjoy it more than just the story mode. I'm already thinking about what if you did a player versus player rhythm shooter. I don't think it would work because I think that like if you started shooting to the beat, you would even more notice the slight like delay in network code. Like 20 ms in Counter-Strike you don't feel, but 20 ms if you're both listening to the same piece of music and trying to shoot on the beat suddenly I think that's going to feel very impactful. So I think grapple shooter is gone. I think this is not. I think let's put this into the dead ideas area. Rhythm shooters back on the table though. Mates back on the menu, boys. So let's go down this list and go, what are the design pillars of this game? Enemies. Let's get rid of this. Shoot enemies to the beat of music. Where you shoot enemies should change depending on the music, beat or section or something. How enemies should not feel like a horde. It should feel like a... I don't want to say boss, because boss design is like a whole thing. It should feel like a tough to take down tank. Yeah, enemies shouldn't... I think... I mean, maybe there's room to also have little mini drones that you just have to shoot once on the correct beat and they die. This should be in the form of a damage multiplier, not a hard low damage on the wrong beat thing. Enemies, core enemies should not go down in one hit. It should take a few hits on different beats and locations. I want these enemies to feel quite big compared to you, you know? Imposing flying drones. What are they shooting at you? Is it also a bullet hell game? Are they electrified? Are they kamikaze drones? Do they only do damage if they reach you? Probably a mix. Enemies should be trying to kill the player. That's a big difference between Osu in this game, right? Is that in Osu the dots you click aren't trying to shoot back or kill you. Okay. The other question of like design showing off, like if we have, let's go back to our green and blue. We have a robot that is a green box with green thing here, green thing here, and then a blue turret, like this. Let's say this is a robot, and it's got little looking jet, like angry eyes, and little jets here going shh, shh, and it's droning towards you. Should you be able to? Is it as simple as it's got a health bar, and you shoot this on the blue beat and it drops. You shoot this on the next blue beat and it drops, and then you shoot this on the green beat and it drops. Or maybe that's better if we did like it's full, blue bang, green bang, blue bang, and it's dead. Or is it more interesting to not have a health bar, and for every element of every robot, I mean, I would think I've already thought about a loophole for this, but if there's every element of every robot is a one shot. So if you have this robot that's flying around, you shoot it on the blue, and then this is gone, and it's flying about. It's got one gun now. You shoot it on this side, and this is gone, and it's flying around, and then you shoot the green, and it's dead. So any unit of a robot that is one color is one thing that you can shoot and destroy, and any I'm already thinking it becomes so complicated, because let's say you destroy this one first. You shoot green and it dies. Then do these have little rockets that then pop out? And then now these two are flying around on their own, and these two like fly off this way and start shooting you, because the connecting bit is dead. So that blows up, and then these two fly off. So there's also like a tactical decision over like what order you kill an enemy. Or is that just getting way too complicated? Is this going to be taking you out of the flow state? Because remember we said the flow state was a key thing for this experience in this game. I think whilst that thought process is actually kind of cool, like the idea of you shoot this and this is gone, and these two then fly off on their own and become two separate enemies you have to kill. That is a cool idea. So do I just do it? I was about to contradict myself. It's a cool idea, but is it more fun over a game experience than something simple that's easy to read, like a health bar, that doesn't take you out of the experience as much? But maybe a health bar does take you out of the experience more because it's a gamey thing, it's a UI element. Does that take you out of the game? Because if we're already building enemies to be like Lego put together things, like I don't think I'm going to design each robot. I think I'll design different elements, then combine them together in Unreal for being a robot, right? So is it more interesting if those robots themselves can then be detached and become a part? I have no idea how that'll work if you have like this big robot, right? You have this big tank boy. You shoot this. Does this leg like hop off on its own and try and kill you? Do not all of them fly? So if you like destroy this one, does it fall to the ground and start driving around like a little tank? The design ideas are starting to fly, but it's also feature creeping out of the wazoo. Out of the wazoo. Can you change the thickness of things post finishing? Oh, that's cool. I never knew that on Miro. You can change the thickness after you've... Anyway, that's not important. But let's get that idea down as a concept. OSIP in 3D. Enemies are... What's it called when something's... like lots of different sections. are... Am I being stupid? What's it called when something is made up of lots of different pieces? None of those words work for me. A series of building blocks. This is not. Enemies can be broken apart into more smaller enemies. Like, let's say we had the tank square. We have a blue tank square, and it has a little track, and it has a little cannon, and it can do some things. But it can also be then attached to a kamikaze boy. So then you have the blue kamikaze, the green kamikaze boy. That same thickness. There we go. And then you also have the green kamikaze boy. Let's make the kamikaze boy circular. He's a flying robot, or maybe, yeah, kamikaze boy. He's green, and he's got a little jets that make him fly. And he comes towards you, he's a little bomb, and he reaches you and explodes. So you have two enemies, one blue, one green. And on the blue beats you can hit this guy, on the green beats you can hit this guy. Let's also create a better beat map system. So we're not sure yet if we're going to do blue, 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 blue. Is that right? Blue, 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 blue. Yeah. So then you do blue, green, boom, ch, boom, ch, boom, ch, boom, ch, boom, 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 ch, boom, ch, boom, ch. Yeah. So let's say you have this as the beat. So you can go like shoot a blue guy, shoot a green guy, shoot a blue guy, shoot a green guy. Or with the bigger ones, they are just a construction of these. So this tank guy has his little tracks down here, but they're not running. You can shoot. He's shooting at you. But if you destroy the flying guy, the tanks drop to the ground and start rolling after you on the floor. They start chasing you. So you can shoot or you can just shoot these two, and then this guy's still flying towards you and will blow up when he reaches you. So you basically make a series of, I don't know, 3, 4 kind of guys, and they each have a different mode of attacking you and a different mode of moving, and we can combine them into a single bigger robot that you then have to shoot parts of. But you can also then make little, like at the beginning you probably just have the little ones like these on their own, and then you then see one like, oh shit, there's a tank guy attached to this guy. So you can then like let's say we then take these two and add them together to make a oh, this is getting quite complicated drawing. You can also then make a circle guy who's angry. He's got his little jets, and then you've also got the blue guy who then is, I don't know, sitting on his head like this, and it's like this. So he's got his cannon shot pointed towards you, and this guy's going to shoot at you with the other guy carrying him. And if this guy reaches you, he blows up, and that might do damage to the blue guy and kill him as well. We can think about that later. But if you just shoot this one, this guy still flies towards you. If you just shoot this one, this guy will fall to the floor and start driving towards you. I think that could be cool. I think that this is now getting kind of crazy in terms of feature creep. And I have no idea how you develop a boss with these things. Um, but I can think about that later. Let's not think about the number of colors we need. Let's just think about 4 interesting enemies that could be combined. I think that's like if I can come up with 4 interesting enemies, I think this game has real good legs. Um, yeah. So in terms of modes of movement, I think we just keep moving on the ground and flying. I think that's fine. So we want 2 flying guys and 2 on the ground guys. Uh, in terms of dealing damage, we have a when it reaches you, it explodes and it wants to shoot you from afar. So maybe this one, when it's moving, isn't trying to move towards you. This one only moves side to side. So if we think top down in terms of level design, we have our character. Let's change the color of our character to, I don't know, purple, violet. We have our character who's like this with their gun, who's running around. You have the green circles flying towards you to kill you. You might also have a green circle flying towards you to kill you, who is also then attached to a blue guy who is shooting you. And then you also have a blue guy on the floor. That's too big. On the floor, moving side to side or like in an arc around you. So let's have our got a blue guy. Dunk, dunk. And this guy moves like this around you. And he's pew, 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 shooting at you from different angles. Do we need to come up with more enemies? I think we should come up with more enemies. What's a different kind of enemy that could be cool? I think another enemy that could be cool is like a bomber style. So that gives you a reason to look like up. So if we're doing full 360 Osu, you have the bomber style enemy. Let's make him triangle. So this guy flies and just drops bombs. Boom, 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 boom. So he maybe moves side to side as well, and then decides sometimes, okay, I've got a bombing path. I've got my end location here, and I'm going to boom, 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 boom. And then he goes here, and he turns around, turns around, and then boom, 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 back. So it turns around, then the player's over here, so he boom, 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 boom. And then you can have that going on at the same time. So maybe this guy doesn't move side to side. This guy just rotates and then does that. But then, you know, it's different if he's then got a green guy attached to him. But why would he have a green guy ever attached to him? Yes, maybe he's got 2 green guys attached. That will just stay on him as bombs, and you can shoot them, destroy them, or if you shoot him first, these then come off and kamikaze you. That's kind of interesting design. So that's 3 enemies. We've got a bomber, a tank, kamikaze flyer. Bomber, tank, kamikaze flyer. I keep trying to think of like a laser beam one, or like a railgun one, or something. Yeah, I think that could be cool. If there's a like, let's make it another green one. 2 green, 2 blue makes sense. If we have like the hexagon one, dun dun dun, uh, dun 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 dun, perfect hexagon that has, let's say, a turret here. There's a laser. It can be a floor one, so it's got little wheels. And what it does is it'll just like move around randomly, like a woo woo. It's like moving around, and then it'll sometimes stop and spin with a laser. So it will stop a laser and spin, and so the player either has to then get behind an object to like get blocked by the laser, like that, or has to jump over the laser. I think that's kind of cool. Because then you could have on the top of the big tank guy, you could have one of those, and it could like aim at the player and then spin around a big 360. That's like a cool visual, you know? You could also have one on the bottom of the big tank, a hexagon guy, and he's jump lasers and spins that around. You have to jump or you have to get behind cover. So let's think about our dudes. Enemies, we've got bomber. What did we put it? Bomber, tank, Roomba laser, and we've got kamikaze. Kamikaze, okay. So their functions are fly towards player, explode if they are in proximity. Roomba laser moves erratically to charge laser, stops and fires laser in an arc or 360. I don't know if just doing a is better or a full 360. The tank guy moves laterally to player, shoots on interval towards player. And then the bomber flies in a line over player towards destination, then turns around at that point, drops bombs. What's like intervally whilst flying? Like, what's the like on a drops bomb on beat whilst flying? Let's do that. I think the one that I'm least sure of actually is the most basic one, the tank. Because if all these enemies are like shooting at you, I think that the attacks from specialist enemies should be indicated by a beat. So the Roomba enemy should move around, and when it gets ready to shoot, there should be like a little like EDM build, like a and then on the drop it does its laser. So you like audibly you can hear that coming. And maybe that just the like a part of that soundtrack doesn't happen if that enemy is dead. So let's say you got the Roomba flying, zooming around, and you shoot it. I'm already like too. I feel like it's already too complex. I don't know if this idea of combining enemies is a good idea, because now I've got these enemies, I can kind of see how it'll work. But as soon as you've got a kamikaze one with a, like, let's say you have kamikaze plus laser, is that just a fucking nightmare? Maybe laser guy can't move on his own, so he has to be attached to one of the three that can move. Hmm. I'm getting a little bit lost in the sauce here. Getting a little bit lost in the sauce. Uh, hmm. So you can combine robots. That really means that every robot has three different behavior trees. It has behavior if it's on its own. And is it just behavior when attached? Maybe it's just two? Or does it behave differently depending on what it's attached to? But like, if we do this concept, I don't know how we do a boss. Because like I just don't get it. Like, how do you construct a big boss out of all these things? I just don't think you can. I think it gets too convoluted. But does this idea string up function, like functionally does it work without even having a boss? Do we cut the concept of a boss? Is there enough intrigue in this? And do we not even have like a story mode? Do we just do a fucking endless room style game where you just go in and fight enemies until you die, and then it's like, how long can you last? New high score. Simplify the metagame loop to make the game a bit simpler. That means you only have to design like one area, and we can just design like maybe each of these enemies. Obviously, we have 4 enemies, so that's 4 enemies, and then maybe in total we aim for like 8 to 10 enemy types. We have the 4 enemies, then 4 combinations of 2 enemies, and then 2 combinations of 3 or more enemies as like mini bosses. 10 enemies, which their base functionality is like stuff. It's quite complicated, but it could be cool. It could be cool. I think it's the best version of a rhythm shooter that I've come up with so far. So let's move this off to one side. Don't look at yesterday's game. Focus on today's game. Design wise, like boom, 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 boom. I'm trying to think about like how to make the music semi interesting in terms of like how you interact with it without it being like a full on Osu beat map. I think if you're shooting to it, you can't do like the like as crazy timings and beat maps as Osu has. I think there's something here. I think there's something cool here that I think would be a better game feel wise to play than this one. And it'd be quicker to look at a video and be like, oh, that's what the game is. There's one more idea I want to explore today. So we got like adventure action game, and then we've got one more idea that I want to explore, which is Gamba but fun. Brackets, not real money. Because although I'd want to stick to my, where are my non-negotiables? The moral design. I don't want it to be about gambling or incentivizing people to microtransaction. I do think that the concept of randomization, dice rolls, and gambling is inherently a part of human existence. And it's like, how do we make that but fun? Where it's not addictive. Adventure action game. Okay, is there anything else I want to think about right now about the rhythm shooter, or should we pause from this one? Enemy, should be trying to kill a player. Enemies. This can be solo or a combination. Breaking apart a combo enemy means the leftover parts try and kill you in their own unique ways. Yeah, that's that point, and then these are the enemies. Base enemy types: bomber, tank, Roomba laser, kamikaze. Is this something better than tank? I don't know if I like the idea of bullets coming towards you. Because if there are bullets coming towards you, if it's like a top-down experience, I can see how that's fine. Because in a top-down experience, you're like dodging. But in my brain, at least, this was first person. So if you're first person and suddenly there are bullets flying towards you, how are you not going to get hit unless they're very intervaled out and timed? Unless we have like another, like the build to the music and then a thing happens. But I don't want it to feel like, well, on the build of the music you're going to run away. I don't think I want that feeling. The concept of bullets. Because we've got one that's already an artillery strike. And I don't mind that because that's like something that can be pre-placed on the floor. We can signpost it and you can dodge it. But a bullet is something that's too fast to be dodged, traditionally. And signposting it too much is quite hard. Maybe the way that the tanks work is rather than being a pew 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 gun, they are like a inline artillery strike, right? So rather than the bomber that goes dum 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 dropping bombs, and rather than the Roomba that does a long interval spinning laser. The gun ones, they then how do they work if they attach to something else? If they're attached to, okay, so let me finish the thought first, then we'll start thinking about why this idea is bad. They move side to side, and then on an interval, maybe like once a bar. So I go boom, 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 you know, that kind of thing. They do like a targeting laser where they go, this is where I'm shooting, and then that like boom, 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 and so the beat before they target, and then on the beat they explode. So the player needs to know that on that beat, I need to make sure I move to the side, because like all of these will then aim like this, like shum 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 shum, and it's like a, you know, in the old like spy films or heist films when they dodge the lasers, it's a bit like that. I think that could work better. It still shoots on interval towards the player, but it's whether it's a, or is it like a just a slow moving projectile? So it shoots and it's rather than be like it's a bam, bam. So it shoots like a balloon bullet. I don't know. Yeah, that works for me. And then if they're attached to a flying one, the flying one stops on that beat. So boom, boom. So this flying one, let's say, is like boom, 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 and it stops, and then you get the laser, and then it starts moving again. Boom, 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 and so it changes how. But in combination, the kamikaze one changes its movement pattern because it has a cannon attached to it. Enemy ability patterns seems quite complicated in this idea, but could be cool. Be cool. Let's now move on from the shooter and think about my other two concepts I wanted to get some other ideas for. Should we do a palette cleanser with some Gamba but fun? What's a like satirical gambling game that would be fun to play for a short time but not addictive or problematic long term? It's almost more like parody of gambling in games, because you know in CS I see a lot of the unboxing, you've got the gacha games, you've got when I was in South Korea recently, I did a lot of the like the gacha claw arms and the gacha capsules. Is there something from that we can make like a funny parody game that both uses the advantages of natural human tendency to enjoy gambling, but also makes it kind of satirical, so that I don't feel like it breaks my personal moral values about gambling in video games. So let's just start getting some ideas down. We've got like the idea of a slot machine. We've got the idea of like a gacha. I mean, it's gacha slot machine. Yeah, gacha. Gacha slot machine randomization / dice roll. And like I was using this concept a lot in the Life of Mario Higgs game, you know, with the idea of changing your odds based on what inputs you have. And maybe I find that more interesting than the narrative outcomes of this. Like, I think I liked this because of the way that the choice system worked. And so it's whether there's a different path for me to use that system in a way that's interesting, which I will think about whilst I get myself a drink. Talk amongst yourselves. I've got myself a glass of water to be healthy, and a very, I mean, I don't know why it's so big, this Red Bull. This Red Bull's much bigger, but a Red Bull Citrus Zest. Another one of the new flavours that I'm enjoying. Okay. Gambling, but fun, but but parody. Parody? Parody. Parody. Okay. Red Bull gives you ideas. That should be their new slogan. Rather than Red Bull gives you wings, Red Bull gives you ideas. Oh my god, of course. What? Oh no, I wish. Gamba but parody. Like a slot machine but parody is like, what if you had like World of Warcraft style combat, or like turn-based combat, or something slow, and every turn you had a slot machine style thing that gave you your options. You could like, I mean, this is just fucking Slay the Spire, right? Where you build a deck of cards, but rather than building a deck of cards, your slot machine randomizes them, so you can't really plan ahead on your hand. It's like a Slay the Spire, but every hand is a fresh hand. Is that fun? I don't know. I think you need to be able to make some planning. Is there something funny about trying to accomplish something but having to use coin flips to get there? And like your odds of like doing it instantly are very low because you have to get 10 coin flips in a row. You have to go through like a weird pathway of doing things. Maybe. I don't want it to be a full frustration game. Like, I can see a world where you do, like a like getting over it style game. Let's say you have like a series of jumps, and here there's a coin that if you choose to take it, it's 50-50, like launches you that way or launches you that way. You can either skip some stuff or fall down. And like there's like something down here you'll land on, you'll have skipped all this stuff by doing that. I can see how that's a funny parody on like human nature. But do I think it's a good game? I don't think so. I think that's just fucking gonna piss people off. It does create like a nice, I think having some kind of clear risk versus reward, like risk versus reward, is a key concept in game design and making things fun. I think it could be fun if that's more dynamically exposed through some kind of gambling mechanic. Is there space for, I don't know, something? I think if we are going to go towards this gambling route, I think we should. No, I think I was about to say, we should move away from like real time stuff. It should be turn based. And whilst that might be slightly easier to do if it's turn based, I think there's definitely a world where having to make that risk versus reward decision quickly is in many ways more exciting. Like in terms of virality for a game, I can totally see how a like random chance could be really great clip moments, right? Where rather than just slipping and falling here, the streamer or player makes that choice and by making that choice, it creates a funny situation. It made me think back to Hunter x Hunter, the Scythe slot machine. It's pretty risky just opening up images. Yeah, like where this guy has a different style weapon based on a randomized slot machine. And so sometimes it's a super powerful scythe, sometimes it's like a really weak spoon. I don't know if there's anywhere it's really weak. It's maybe not suited to the situation. I can't remember. Anyway, are they all the different ones? Yeah, there's like a wand, a sword, a gun, a scythe. Like, what if we created some kind of environment with different solutions to get across it, and at different points you have to gacha your tool set. So sometimes you might have the gun and can shoot the enemies. Sometimes you might have the sword and have to slice them. Sometimes you might have the cloak of invisibility and you have to sneak. I think that's a bit. I mean, that's probably too literal of a version of it to be interesting, maybe. I think it's more fun. Yeah. I'm trying to think where that could be a cool idea. I don't think that's a cool idea. I think that's a bad idea. I think where you start getting some good ideas. I think this inherently is quite a funny, shareable concept where you make progress. I mean, as a game designer, I think it's probably quite bad actually, because if you have this coin flip that either makes you lose progress or gain progress, what you're actually saying is, are you going to choose to skip some of the game that I think is fun? Like, I would want to make jumping up this staircase fun, you know? That should be in itself fun. Or do I make you fall down and re jump up the staircase you just did? Like, neither of those seems like good game design in my mind, even if it seems like a funny moment. Hmm. Randomization dice roll. I think a key thing that needs to exist in this thing is, which would be funny, there need to be some really bad options. Like, all these things are fine as concepts and they're good tools, but none of them are funny until there are some really bad options. If you roll a die the wrong way, if things don't go your way, like shit's really hitting the fan. Rather than just, oh, either. Rather than it being a gacha choice between two stylistic choices, like do I shoot them or do I slash them with a sword? Because I think that all that's making me have to do is make two fun games. I have to make a fun hack and slash sword game and a fun shooter game, which is a problem, right? Because now I'm just telling myself that I have to make two interesting games. Whereas if there's good and bad options, like actually this one's better than this one, then you have to try and capture that one. Then there's more funny situations where, you know, you're fighting a horde of enemies and you capture the water pistol. Suddenly you're in a escape game for 30 seconds until you can capture a new gun. But is that fun or is that just frustrating? Okay, let's take this in what I think is the simplest form. Let's say we have a pretty simple zombie shooter where we have an arena and zombies are coming from all around towards the player. And the player's in the middle and they can run around this environment and kill, and they have to kill all the zombies. There's 100 zombies. Before each level, you have your gacha creator where you have 1,000 points. I'm already seeing a loophole here. And you have the like the railgun rail, which is 1,000 points. But you have to select 5 guns. Or I can't draw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, sure. 1, 2. Yeah, there's 5 guns you have to select, and if you select the railgun, that's down to 0. So now you have to select the water pistol, water pistol, water pistol, water pistol. Let's say. So then you have 4 guns that are useless and 1 that's insane, and so let's say you're running around parkouring or something like to escape zombies, and then you can pull your slot machine, and it like goes bing 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 railgun, and so you get the railgun, and then you can start mullering enemies. And then after 30 seconds, you have to pull the slot machine and you lose the railgun. But if you're being a tactical player, why would you ever do that? Why would you just not select like 4 decent guns and the water pistol? So there's a low chance you get this, but there's a good chance you get something decent. Like, what's the player incentive towards doing that? Why is that funny? Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with with this idea is why a player would ever do the thing that makes the game funny if we make it a player choice. Interesting design problem. Ah, I don't know. How would I do that? Because I like the idea of the whole randomized weapon or the randomized thing or the gacha something that creates a situation where you're kind of in a shit show for a little bit and then you gacha again and you get into a good position. But I don't like the feeling of how simple it is when it's like a horde of enemies you have to run away from. I guess there is a skill expression of like, back in Call of Duty Zombies, when you get towards the end game, being able to run in such a way that herds the zombies and stops them from killing you. Like that is a skill expression in itself beyond just winning it as like killing them. I can remember back when that was happening. Like even if I ran out of ammo and I couldn't kill them anymore, I was still trying to live for as long as possible, just because that's a cool thing to try and do. That's a fun skill expression to do. And maybe we make it funny by just making the weapons either really good or really bad and not really having any just okay weapons. Because I can see a world where a player wants to just get through it, and so they pick the boring thing of just picking 5 decent weapons. And then it's like, But I guess that's their choice. If they find that fun, then fucking go ahead, do it. And is this first person? I don't think it really matters if it's first person or if it's isometric or top down or side on or whatever. And they don't have to be just weapons. There could be one that's like a portal or a teleporter or like a fucking jetpack. You can start flying around the environment. And then you gacha your jetpack off mid-air, and you're like, oh shit, now I've got the railgun, but I'm 100 meters in the air. That's quite a funny situation that can happen. So, if you make all the weapons both very good at something and very bad at something, right? So, if you have like the railgun, it you just shoot it and it kills everything that's in front of it. But like, let's say your turn speed gets reduced loads and you're really slow, then sometimes getting it isn't the golden situation, you know? Sometimes getting it is just bad because you're like in a situation where you're running away from enemies, you have to get away from them, or they're all spread out around you, so it's hard to kill them. Similarly, like if you get the jetpack, some situations if there are enemies closing in on you, suddenly you can reorganize yourself and get away, get to high ground. But then sometimes you just need to kill something in front of you, and that's a problem. And is it more fun to have like in COD when you had like the wave system, waves of enemies? And is this whole idea just better in multiplayer? Like, imagine you have multiplayer where all these people are gathering stuff, and so you might have one person with the jetpack, one person with the railgun. Is that just better? It definitely makes it more confusing and complicated. Is it better? I'm not. I'm not actually sure. Maybe it isn't. I think randomization is fun. Like, I'm now thinking about the. I can't remember. I don't know if it happens in Prop Hunt, but I know that people made a Counter Strike version of Prop Hunt, where at the beginning of the round, you get transformed into a random object from the map, and that's quite fun because then you have to figure out, okay, where will this object go? Sometimes it's huge, sometimes it's tiny, and so suddenly that's an interesting expression of randomization. But it's nice a short round so that if you get a really shit one and you get caught quickly, it's not the end of the world. You know, it's not. It's no long. It's not fun to be that person in that situation. Huh. Yeah. Gacha zombie. I mean, Gacha Zombie Hunter is kind of funny. Um, I'm wondering if that because like the whole zombie thing was just like the first thought that came to my head. Is there a funnier or better environment that we can do that in? Because the whole horde of enemy things, I think it does kind of work. Because sometimes you'll run away from them, sometimes you'll kill them. Like, is it better if it was more like an adventure style combat where you have to move, you have to go through a dungeon? I think not. I think because if you're going through a set of enemies one by one, like it's not like if you get the jetpack at the wrong moment, you're just gonna stand still until you switch. So is that really fun? I don't know. Don't think so. And we're gonna make each one feel different. I think before I start thinking about what they might be, I think you need to really decide: is it top down, is it side on, or is it first person or third person? I don't really like third person games generally, so I don't think I'm going to make any third person games for this project. Anyways, that's a separate thing. Because like for example, a jetpack is very useful in a side on or first person game, but as soon as you're top down, a jetpack is kind of pointless. But top down, you could do things like a portal gun, where you have a weapon on your mouse where you click and you teleport there. You click and you teleport there, like a charge, click, or something like that. Where suddenly that's a really powerful thing. That means you can't actually kill anyone with that, unless there's like traps on the floor. Yeah, if there's like one where you can drop bombs that enemies walk over and blow up, and then you could also drop bombs and then teleport behind it. That's kind of cool skill expression. Is there what's the most fun visual for the weapon selection? Because what I liked about the game we designed yesterday was the big die that rolled across the 3D world, like in a little miniature table sort of way. I thought that was really funny. Like, is there a way we can like maybe like the game goes into like a quick time mode, where you pull a lever and it like spins a wheel, and you're like, oh no, and then you're back into the action. I think there needs to be space for that. I don't think it can just be instant and like in the action. I think it needs to take you out for a second. Is it like a CS:GO case opening thing where it opens the thing and then it slides across and you see all of your different weapon options flying by? Yeah, I think it should pause when you're doing your thing. Or no, I was just about to say, what if your selection wasn't just random gacha? What if it was um uh a like a claw game? Because I was thinking about gacha and I was thinking about the claw games that I played in South Korea. Like if the game, like you're in here, you're running around with your, let's say you're running around with your machine gun, and then it pauses because it's the gacha time, um, and you then get to a new screen that is like a claw game, and you can like and then you can get, there's like, you can see the rail gun, and you can see all these different things as you have to try and get it. And maybe if you fail, you like get the penalty one or something. I don't know. That could be funny, but it could just be fucking annoying. Is what I'm thinking. And I think it's more leaning towards fucking annoying than it is the cool. This one's given me a lot of pause for thought, because I can see a very simple game that could be quite funny to do. The enemy design is way simpler because we keep them simple. We keep them moving in a nice basic way. Yeah. Okay, let's write a little mini design document for. I don't like this one. This idea I think was bad. I think negative progression is not something that I want to explore right now. With this, I think risk versus reward isn't necessarily a big part of this one. I think we don't have the selecting your loadout. I think we focus on I think I've got a structure of how to do it. I don't think there will be bad options, but it's not. I think I think I've changed my mind. this point here that I said there should be bad options, there shouldn't be bad options. There should be bad times to get the option you get. I think, let's delete all this for a moment. I think let's call this one Gacha. Is that how you spell Gacha? Gacha. Gacha? Oh, it's no T. Gacha. 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 Gacha Zombie Hunter. I think I like that because it's got a nice strong aesthetic. Zombies are a like there's a clear like expectation, because unless I have something specific I want to do with the enemies that means that they shouldn't behave like zombies. When someone imagines a zombie, they walk towards the player. They are normally quite slow and they're quite stupid. Like there's an expectation there. I think fulfilling that expectation does more for the game than trying to not fulfill that expectation. So Gacha Zombie Hunter. Let's get myself some text. Where's some text? Gacha Zombie Hunter is defeat a horde of zombies in order, but your weapon or tool is randomized in a gacha game every X seconds. Spell check. Why does it not work, the spell check? Oh, randomized. Weapon ideas. We have like rail. Let's not do weapon ideas yet. Weapon concept. Every weapon and tool is useful, but have a big upside and downside, meaning they are downside. Very useful sometimes, but a massive hindrance other times. So it's like each gun or item or tool should have like, this is really good at this, but it's a nightmare at this kind of thing. Every weapon has a useful, very useful sometimes, but massive hindrance other times. Progression gives the gacha more options. So at the beginning, it's like a coin flip what you get, and you have to kill a small number of things. Then you get given a new weapon that gets added to your gacha. Do I want any like loadout design? Is it roguelite where like you get more options, but if you die, you go back to the first area, but then you've got all the options now. So from the first area, you have all these other options. Like I can see different metagames working. Either you have like a linear experience where you have like level, 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 where new item, new item, new item, new item, new item, and it gets more and more complicated and more complex areas and zones. But if you die, you go back to the beginning, but you now have all the options? Or is it not more complicated? It's just flat level design, but you get different options. I don't know what the best metagame would be for this. What I like though is it's nice and simple. Like I can understand what it's weird. It's like it's quite shallow as a design idea, but it's quite it's not broad as a game design idea, but it's quite deep in terms of fact that I can see like how it can be very done in very many different ways, which makes it the kind of game I think I want for this project, because I can tell someone you're a zombie hunter, but your weapon is given to you through a periodic gacha game, and like I can see someone hearing that and be like, oh, that's kind of funny, let's try that game. Okay, let me think about this while I have a quick pee. My citrus zest Red Bull's gone right through me. Okay, what do we think? Let's see if we can figure out an interesting group of railgun. Slow turn and move, but massive penetration damage. Then maybe we have like the bomb trap. Can only place bombs, no direct kill method. Then they have like, I don't know, the roller blades that just makes you faster for a bit. But like maybe change your turning arc. Roller blades, faster movement, but now have a turning arc. Can't just move around. Then like teleportation, superpower, can click anywhere on the map and teleport there, but only X number of times or something, or like on a timer or something. And then just thinking out loud, I think there should be one that's like, I don't know, very, you know, just like some kind of melee weapon. Good cleave, but No range. Crossbow. High kill, but slow reload. Then like water gun. What could the water gun do? Or maybe there's like gasoline gun. Douses enemies in gasoline, but petrol, but doesn't actually do damage until on fire. I can definitely see a world where like you can like place a bomb, and then you get the gasoline gun, you can gasoline them and then walk them through the bomb, and then when the bomb explodes, they all catch fire, and then when they touch other zombies, those catch fire. I can see interesting design expression there. Flamethrower. Very slow, but maybe, or high, or like limited fuel, low range, but damage over time, something like that. I don't know how many we need. I think there probably should be a percentage chance to get them, maybe like the teleportation superpower. Maybe we just backload the game with the crazy ones. You only get the teleportation superpower option once you already have like 10 other things, you know? And so we have some simple ones that just like a few different kinds of gun, and then you have like the weird ones like the teleportation and the, I don't know, other things that might be strange. Top. I think this game really only works in a top-down perspective or side-on maybe, but probably top-down. Top, down, or ISO perspective. Level-based, where each level gives you more options. I think we scrap the whole concept of the roguelite or roguelike. I think forcing the player to restart early levels is a bad idea. I think just have it, when you complete that level, you move on, and each level is adding concepts in a way. Like the first level is just a flat space where you walk around and have to kill the zombies. Then the second level, there's like up and down or like walls where they can walk around. And then as you get deeper and deeper and deeper, there's more and more map-based things that can like change how you play the game, I guess. Levels, gain in complexity, obstacles, changing environments, things that kill you and zombies, bombs that are pre-placed, question mark, things that you can use or may hinder you. So I think there should be like a synergistic effect between some like world things, level things, and like what you do, and etc. 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 You know what I mean? I think there should be something there. This is probably the most simple idea we've had so far. It's a zombie game, zombie slaying game, where you have to gatcher your tools, and so you have to think on the fly and come up with different strategies depending on what you get. I could totally see how this works, and I think it's quite simple. I think it probably achieves our non-negotiables better. I think it's a hooky idea. It's a very short gameplay loop. it's very scalable with just how many things we add, and it's also thing. I think it's a funny moral design because it's got like gacha, but it's kind of also parodying gacha in a way. Um, I don't think I need any new skills to do it. There's nothing crazy about the design that fundamentally would be something that's out of my depth. Where I think all the other designs that we've come up with the other two games have something fundamentally about them that is concerning me about just how I make it happen. The only one that probably this one doesn't hit properly is be a game I want to play. I think I can see how it's fun. I can see how a player would like it. It's just not a game that I naturally would gravitate towards already. Whereas the rhythm shooter, just change rhythm shooter. Shoot. Aye. Why is my brain rhythm shooter is a game that like I think I'd really like. Same with this one. I think this is a game that would be really fun to explore. This one is more like it's a bit more basic. You know what I mean? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like simple games that are simple to understand and engage with are inherently good for a player because if you have a game that you have to take fucking like World of Warcraft is a great game, but it's not good for a new player because there's just so much you need to wrap your head around to get to the point where you can have fun. Whereas this one doesn't have that. This one like it throws you into the action quickly, it scales up that action. I don't know how you make the early parts of gacha fun. I think you have to start with a few different things. Like how do you introduce that early on? I don't know. Like, is it fun in the first level just to have like, oh, you can either have a pistol, or a machine gun, or an axe? And maybe the first level is as simple as that. Like, you have the melee weapon and the basic shooting weapon, and you switch between those, kill the enemies, and then you go to the next level, and some new concept is introduced that's a bit wacky. So after the first level, you get introduced to the concept of like, I don't know, the bomb dropping or the something that makes it a bit wacky. Something like the rollerblades. Imagine if the rollerblades are the first thing you get given. You're like, oh, now this is just like a bad option to have in this environment. But let's leave the Gacha Zombie Hunter for a minute. And let's think about adventure action role playing style game. Because this is the kind of game that I've spent many hours in, and I've really wanted for a long time to make something that uses WoW style combat in a different genre or a different way. Because I think that's like ability based global cooldown kind of game. Like it's like not hack and slash. Like it's like combo based, you know? There is a real flow state to WoW where you get into the groove of your combo using your cooldowns well that is just really satisfying. And is there a way to build that into an interesting new way? Is there still something to be done with that? Or am I just attached to it because I played lots of WoW? Oh, I noticed this actually after yesterday's stream. I've never like had such intense design sessions, you know? Not since I think I was back at like university doing game jams and stuff, where I've had to sit down, design a game from scratch, and do that design in such a fast-paced way. Like, and also the fact that the design has no real constraints, right? There are constraints in the fact I've got my non-negotiables, but it's quite hard and quite mentally taxing to just sit down and design something from scratch quickly without breaks or pauses or other people to bounce their ideas off. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm quite a lot of fun though. Okay, So let's just start throwing things on the board. Decision-based ability input. Ability rotation combat. I like when you have a set of abilities that you do in a rotation, and that does lots of damage and gets you into a good flow state. Ability rotation combat, I like. What else do I think this could involve? Build construction / character progression. Build construction. Stop doing slashes. These are build construction. Character expression. Character progression / expression. I think that it's fun when you can express yourself and your playstyle through your character's progression, whether that's through how you decide to do your build, how you decide to approach the game. I think it's fun when there is multiple ways to go about doing something, and you make a active choice about which one of those to do and how to do it. I think that's a really great. Oh, that's the wrong window. Sorry, getting distracted. It's a really great thing for a game to let the player do. What should I do here? There we go. So ability rotation. Because I mean, these are kind of contradictory concepts. Because if you have lots of expression, the concept of a nice, clean rotation is quite hard to achieve. Because if you give people lots of abilities to choose from, and give them lots of expression in how they play the game, then having that tight rotation is maybe harder to achieve. Like, I'm trying to think about if you have like Fellowship style gameplay, because Fellowship was like WoW, but reduced down to a more simple. I don't want to say clean because clean is something that makes you think that it's better. It's just different in the fact that it's distilled down to just the core combat elements. And am I just talking about doing Fellowship but single player? Or Fellowship where all his abilities exist and you can put them in any combination? Or is there a way to do like a... Imagine like WoW combat, but like a side-scrolling platformer. Is that something? You probably can't do tab targeting combat that in that sense. Is that something? Like if you imagine you had just a simple platformer with platforms doing stuff, and you had your character and you had an ability bar with abilities. How does that input mode work, and is that fun? Like you have your WASD and your space bar and your mouse. The mouse mouse is a little bit suspicious. Make it round. Is that better? Slightly better. Is that better? I think that it's a while. Whatever. Anyway, we won't get distracted by things that look a bit phallic. I guess you don't need spacebar actually, because WSD. If you're WASDing around a platformer experience, is it more or less fun to have like... I'm trying to think, like, is there a cool way to have combo ability based combat with more dynamic movement? Because WoW generally is a very static experience. You stand still at range and do your combo, or you stand close in melee, moving very slightly, doing your combo. I guess if you're doing a more eccentric combo with high movement, you're just making Super Smash Bros, right? Which in itself is a good game. Super Smash Bros, but single player, I guess. I don't know if this is fun. This seems just like shoehorning two things together because I like two things. I don't think that these naturally go together and highlight each other's good bits. I think they just make each other seem worse. Yeah, I'm struggling to see the fun here. Struggling to see the fun here. Any spacebar. You have AD base. Like, I'm trying to imagine you've got an ability, like an ability bar like this, right? And you're being rewarded for staying in or out of range and doing these things in combo and performing mechanics. I don't want it to be crazy difficult. I don't think that... I don't want it to be Hollow Knight. I don't want it to be like Dark Soulsy. I want it to be something that feels rewarding without being overly difficult. I don't... I think that this concept is too generic for me to execute better than anyone else without finding some interesting hook. Like, I don't want to make a simple platformer where you jump about and then do a combo and then jump about. Like, I want to do something interesting on that. And I think when I'm seeing this, nothing's springing to mind and being like, oh, that's why this is really fun. It just seems like a worse version of a platform and a worse version of, like, Fellowship. So what's the fucking point? Just the worst version of both the games it's inspired by? I think if we want to go down the character expression part, I think doing something more like yesterday's idea is better. Hmm. I think I definitely achieved making 3 interesting concepts. I got 3 concepts for a game that I like. But I'm struggling with this one that I wanted to explore today. There's just nothing coming to my brain that's within scope. Like, I'm thinking of ideas like a more open-ended solo dungeon content that's timed, and you build up your character's armory of abilities and weapons and things, but the breadth of mechanics is too big there, and I want to make something that's a bit deeper than wide, which just leads itself towards these 3 ideas more than that one. I think that doing something that wide on a tight design schedule just makes it super shallow and a bit flat. So maybe just end the stream a bit shorter today, and we'll review these 3 ideas with a fresh eyes tomorrow, and start writing our design documents for whichever one we choose. Yeah, let's call it there. I might stream again today to play games, but my designer brain is a bit cooked, so I want to step away from the ideas, give them another night's sleep to do that, and then we'll review them tomorrow, compare them to our non-negotiables, and see which idea we're going to pursue over the next couple of months. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube if you want to see more.